girls. Today's topic for presentation is company meetings. In this presentation, I am going to discuss what is the meaning of meeting as well as what are the legal requirements which are specified under Companies Act 1956 that are to be followed by the company in order to conduct a valid meeting. To start with, a meeting may be defined as a gathering or assembly of a number of persons for transacting any lawful business. It may be noted that every gathering of persons does not constitute a meeting. A meeting would be valid if it is held by following the prescribed rules and regulations that are held as per the provisions of Companies Act 1956. So it is clear that any two persons who have come together, it is not called as a meeting. They have to follow certain requisites to call it as a lawful meeting or valid meeting. And any meeting should be conducted for transacting activities which are enforceable by law. That is what we mean by lawful business. Now, who will gather? We know that every business of the company is carried on by selected representatives of the members, whom we usually call as a directors. Either it is a director or a shareholder. To take any kind of decision, they have to come at one place, discuss and then decide. Now, that is when they come together and discuss and decide, it need to follow certain provisions. That is what we call it as a requisites of meeting, which we are going to see in the further slides. Here we start with requisites of meeting. The following are the essentials and legal rules for a valid meeting: notice, proxy, agenda, quorum, resolution and minutes. Now we shall discuss each one of the requisite in detail. The first and foremost requisite for conducting meeting is notice. In general, the meaning of notice is to be aware of. Now, it is the same in the company's meeting also. It is required to give a proper notice to call the meeting to every member of the company. A notice should be in writing and should be given 21 days before the date of the meeting. A period of 21 days is computed from the date of receipt of the notice, which is deemed to have been received by the members at the expiration of 48 hours after the letter containing the notice. It may also be noted that the members give their consent for a shorter notice either before the meeting, at the meeting or after the meeting. It should specify the following contents, like to whom the notice need to be issued. That is, to every member of the company, the persons who are entitled to the shares of the members, and also to the auditors of the company. Now here it is clear that if you are in a view to conduct any meeting, you have to give a notice of 21 days prior to the conducting of meeting. Now at times it so happens company cannot give 21 days prior notice. Now at times situations may arise, you have to gather for a meeting within mean time and you have to take the decisions. At that time you can go for giving a shorter notice. Now that short notice you can prepare just before conduct the meeting, or during the meeting also you can take the consent, and also you can take the consent even after conducting the meeting also. But you should make sure that the notice need to be circulated to all these three categories which we have discussed here right now. That is, to every member of the company, and to the persons who are entitled for the shares, that is the members, as well as the auditors of the company. The notice of meeting must specify the following particulars, like the place where the meeting is conducted and the day on which the meeting is conducted and hours of the meeting. How much is the due time, or at what time the meeting is to be conducted. Along with this, it should also specify the nature of the business that need to be transacted at the meeting. The business to be transacted at the meeting may be of two types, that is general business and special business. If we talk about general business, in case of annual general meeting, like discussion of accounts, declaration of dividends, appointment of directors in place of retired or any resigned, as well as appointment of auditors and fixing their remuneration. All these categories of meetings are to be considered under general business. Any other meetings other than these are to be considered as a special business. Next important requisite that need to be kept in mind while conducting a valid meeting is proxy. A proxy may be defined as a representative of a member appointed by him to attend and vote at the meeting on behalf of the member. Thus, he is a person authorized to attend and vote for another at the meeting. Any person may be appointed as a proxy whether he is a member of the company or not. As the proxy is appointed to vote on behalf of the shareholder, he is not entitled to act contrary to the instructions of the shareholder. A member is not having any share capital in the company is not entitled to appoint a proxy until and unless it is specified in the articles of association. From day one, we have been discussing that a company is bound to do only those activities that are specified in MOA and AOA. So, if the act is not giving such kind of act, it should be specified in the articles or in the memorandum. So, if the person who is not having any share capital in the company and if the articles provide a facility to appoint a proxy, then the company can go ahead to appoint a proxy. Now, at times it so happens the person may not be available to attend the meeting due to any of the reasons. So, he can appoint one person on behalf of him. But here we need to remember one thing: the person whomsoever is appointed as a proxy is not, required. He is not having any right to talk in the meeting. He just have to vote if there is any need voting, and other than that, he just have to represent the person who is been appointed. Here are certain legal provisions relating to proxy. First one, document of appointment. The document appointing the proxy must be in writing and signed by appointer or by the person who is an authorized agent. And next we have submission of document with the company before the meeting. Now, whatever the appointment that has been made on the name of the proxy need to be submitted at the meeting before that it is started. Yes, and next we have valid for adjourned meeting. Now, at times it so happens like meeting should be continued for the next day or next schedule because some of the things which did not been concluded or discussed upon will be carried on to the next meeting. Now, the same person who has been produced his appointment, now he is valid, that appointment is valid even to attend the adjourned meeting also. And next we have voting. Now, the person who is appointed as a proxy is having the right to vote. And next we have, he can demand for a poll but has no right to speak. This is what we were talking in the previous slide, like a proxy is a person who has no right to speak, only he has to represent the person who has been appointed. Yes, and he is having only the right to poll. He can demand for a poll, but he cannot speak during the meeting. And next we have, the notice of the meeting must clearly state that a member is entitled to appoint a proxy. That means all the details regarding the procedure of appointment or who is to be appointed or who can be appointed a proxy need to be clearly stated in the notice. That is, before that they could decide upon whom to appoint. They should intimate the people that there is going to be a aspect of proxy in the meeting. Another important requisite to conduct a meeting is agenda. An agenda is a list of meeting activities in the order in which they are to be taken up, beginning with the call to order and ending with adjournment. It usually includes one or more specific items of business to be acted upon. It may, but it is not required to, include specific times for one or more activities. An agenda may be also called as a docket, schedule, or calendar. It may also contain a listing of an order of business. Its main objective is to conduct the meeting in a systematic way without missing any item. It includes the list of things to be done and subject to be discussed in the meeting. According to the Companies Act, it is necessary to send agenda to the shareholders before the meeting. It helps the shareholder to get ready and prepared for the meeting. An agenda must be clear and systematic. And usually we have different types of agendas which are usually categorized as informal and formal. An informal agenda basically refers to the informal list of items that will be discussed during the meeting, whereas a formal agenda allows more of a format. This format includes what is the type of the meeting, list of the meeting facilitators, as well as lists of all the attendees. And next we have prioritized and timed agenda. Prioritized agendas follow a priority system. Items that are given an order according to the perceived importance to the group. Whereas timed agenda refers to using a set timeline for the meeting. Usually a timekeeper is assigned to help stay on task. The agenda would be set up in time intervals. Next we have quorum. The term quorum may be defined as the minimum number of members that must be present at the valid meeting so that the business can be validly transacted at the meeting. If the quorum is not present, the meeting shall not be valid and the proceedings of such meeting shall be invalid. Generally, quorum is fixed by the Articles of Association of the company. However, Section 174 of Companies Act provides for the minimum number of members to constitute a quorum. In case of a public company, 5 members personally should be present at the meeting, and in case of any other company, 2 members personally should be present at the meeting. Thus, the Articles of Association cannot provide for a smaller quorum than the above, though it may provide for a large quorum. It may be noted that for the purpose of quorum, members present personally are counted and no proxy shall be counted. Even the company cannot, by its articles, provide for the proxy being counted for the purpose of quorum. Moving on, we have resolution. The term resolution may be defined as a proposal which is voted at the meeting and accepted by the members. In other words, it is a decision taken at the meeting. The business of the meeting is conducted in the form of resolution. The Companies Act provides for the 2 kinds of resolutions, namely ordinary resolution and special resolution. An ordinary resolution is a resolution which is passed at a validly called general meeting by simple majority of the members, that is, where the votes cast in favor of the resolution exceed the votes cast against it. Whereas the special resolution is a resolution which is passed at a validly called general meeting by a special majority of the members, that is, by the support of 3/4 majority of the members present and entitled to vote at the meeting. Next, we have minutes. The term minute may be defined as a written record of the proceedings of a meeting. Every company must keep a fair and correct record of all proceedings of every general meeting and of every meeting of its board of directors or of every committee of a board. The record is kept by making the entries in the book kept for that particular purpose. This record is known as minutes, and the book in which the record is kept is known as minutes book. Here are certain legal provisions relating to minutes book and preparation of minutes. It must be recorded within 30 days. Now, any meeting which is conducted, now within 30 days, it need to be updated in the minutes book. And next we have fair and correct summary. Now, whatever is being discussed and decided in the meeting need to be recorded in your minutes book. Moving on, it must include appointments if any. Like for example, if we appoint any director or any member or any proxy or whomever it might be, it must be included in your minutes book, including the appointment of auditors. Next, the pages of the minutes book must be consecutively numbered. And lastly, we have the minutes book are to be maintained at the registered office of the company. Wherever the registered office is being located, there all these minutes book are to be maintained, because during the time of the inspection, even these minutes books need to be produced by the members for the inspection. Here is the classification of kinds of meetings, which is categorized into two types and furtherly subclassified: meetings of members and other meetings. Under meetings of members, we have statutory meetings, annual general meetings, extraordinary general meetings, and class meetings. And under other meetings, we have meetings of directors, meetings of creditors, and meetings of debenture holders. These are to be discussed in detail in the next video. Thank you for watching the video.